Hey guys, it's me, Pokemon, and I'm here to talk about how FoxNext Games is missing out on a massive amount of money. I'd be like, Pop, what FoxNext is? Marvel Strike Force is grossing a lot of money. Are you sure you know what you're talking about? Well, listen here, all right? It's no secret that FoxNext sucks at making bundles. They're horrible. They're not good at making bundles at all. Now, of course, there's theories about why they do this. Maybe it's because they want to release so many bad bundles that then when they make a mediocre bundle, we're all buy it immediately because we're so used to getting absolutely nothing from bundles that we're like, oh my gosh, this bundle's reasonable. And that's honestly probably what they're doing. But, you know, FoxNext, I'm here to help you guys out. This is a way to make major money without even having to make any bundles. And it's uniforms, guys. Uniforms are the secret to making lots and lots of money. So first off, how is this going to work? Now, there are 3 different tiers of uniforms I suggest that FoxNext Games makes. There's a base uniform, and this would be something like Homecoming Spider-Man. It's just a visual change, no changes to the animations on skills, no changes to icons, nothing. Just a base, it's a different model doing everything. Now, of course, I should probably start this out with saying there will be no changes to characters in terms of their gameplay. And no, absolutely not, and I'm going to get into why I don't like that later on. Now, next up is the epic tier of uniforms. Now, this would be something like Symbiote Spider-Man. And this would be something where it'll change a couple of his animations. Like, maybe instead of just punching him for his base skill, Symbiote Spider-Man would actually, like, you know, do some, I don't know, some Venom-like thing against somebody. It'd still do same amount of damage. It's the same exact skill, but it's a different animation now. You change up all his icons, so instead of the red and blue sleeves and all the skills, it'll be the black sleeve. And this would be around 1,500 power cores as opposed to the 1,000 power cores for the base uniform. Now finally, we'd have a legendary uniform like the Infinity War Spider-Man. Now this is where things get interesting. You'll change all the animations, add unique sound effects, change all the skill icons. Again, this will still be the exact same character, no differences in terms of gameplay. But maybe instead of Spider-Man's base punch, maybe he'd like do some sick crawl thing on the ground and then kick them while his legs are holding him up on the ground, or all kinds of crazy things you could do with Infinity War Spider-Man. And these kind of uniforms would cost around 2,000 cores. Now I might be saying, Pa, why don't you want these uniforms to change the skills for characters? Well, there are 2 different things that happens when uniforms change the character skills. Choice number 1, this is what happens in Future Fight. Massive power creep. The power creep in Future Fight is absolutely disgusting. It's horrible. It's like the worst I've ever seen in any game. It's because of uniforms. I want to buy the Infinity War uniforms for this most recent patch because, again, they turn characters that were garbage into, like, crazy good characters. But this just... why bother buying them now? And they're just going to release better uniforms for the characters the next Infinity Wars patch. I mean, Spider-Man's Homecoming uniform that he got around the Homecoming movie was mind-blowing. Now they release his Infinity War uniform, and it's even more mind-blowing. Like, it's like, why bother buying a uniform? And they're just going to make a better uniform in the future. On top of that, this just becomes a way for them to balance characters while making money. I know you might be like, FoxNext, like, making money. I mean, it's kind of scummy. Like, hey, we could buff War Machine, or we could release a new uniform for him that makes him really good. So instead, people would pay us to buff them. They're like, oh my gosh, this is such a great idea. It's horrible. Don't do that. That's really scummy. Nobody likes that. And the second thing that can happen is you'd create a really cool kit. Like, let's say War Machine comes out in this game, and then they release a uniform for him, and in his base kit, he works with lasers mostly. But in his new kit, he has, like, a bunch of rocket launchers and stuff like that. That's a cool kit. Why didn't we just save that for a different character? Like, I know, what if Iron Patriot did? Again, I know Iron Patriot, not a lot of Iron Patriot fans out there, but a new character is better than a uniform for a character. So essentially, you could waste a lot of potentially interesting kits on uniforms for a character. And once you release a new uniform that's better, that old kid is just going to sit around wasting away on his old uniform that's just not relevant anymore. And plus, if you don't like the look of them, like Wolverine had this really ugly uniform in Future Fight. At least in my opinion, it was pretty ugly, where he's like missing a hand, but we had to buy it because it was good, and it was power creep. Luckily, he got a new uniform that's even better than it, that's not ugly, but still, like, that's the kind of stuff where it's like, this looks disgusting, but I have to buy it because it's good. Like, it's not fun whenever they change the skills of a character. Now, you might be like, what's the benefit of buying a uniform? It's not going to make my characters better. In most games that have uniforms, like League of Legends, Overwatch, TF2, you're using those against other people to show them off. It's like a status symbol. So how could you show status symbols in a PvE focused. There's definitely PvP, but like, what? How many people are actually going to run into your symbiote Spider-Man in Blitz? Like, not a lot of people, and you're not going to see them physically, so there's no like, yes, people saw my symbiote Spider-Man. So first off, I loved if the uniform's icon, like the, you know, every character has like their picture. I'd like if the uniform's picture could be equipped to your icon so you could just show it off right there. On top of that, there's no real PvP way to show off your uniforms aside from Arena, but again, you're facing against bot teams, so they're not really seeing your uniform. What I'm thinking the more move towards is there are two different ways they could do this. One, you could get a flat gold boost whenever you're using a uniform. Like, say you use Symbiote Spider-Man to clear a mission, you get 5% extra gold or something like that. I know that's what some of the MOBAs do on the phone, where you just get bonus gold at the end of the game, so that encourages you to buy the uniforms. And this could stack with how many uniforms you have, and if you have a legendary uniform, maybe you could give like 7%, and a base uniform would only give like 2%, so this would encourage you to buy the most expensive uniform. I don't know, just, you know, spitballing here. Or another option is you could have a raid that comes around maybe every other week, and only uniform characters could go through, like it'd be like an event that only uniform characters could participate in, and it would drop a ton of gold, so this would be like really appealing as a person, be like, I'd like some gold, maybe I'll buy some uniforms. And the great thing about uniforms is they're pretty easy to just push out with every update. I mean, if they're not going to be changing the skills for the characters, all you got to do is set up some animations or a new model, which again is work. But I mean, you throw them out in the game then. You have a uniform shop, that's it, you're done. The uniform's out, people will buy it. I guarantee you, FoxNext games, you would make bank off of uniforms, as long as you make them look cool. Like, don't pick some lame uniform. Let me think, what's a lame uniform? Never mind, I couldn't think of any lame uniforms, but I'm going to think of some awesome uniforms right now that I'd really like to see in the game if they do this. I'm just going to go this straight off the top of my head. First off, Black Panther with a cape, like King Black Panther. I'd really like to see that. I'd like to see a classic Wolverine where you see like the more old-fashioned X-Men uniform. I'd like to see classic Deadpool. I'd like to see a little bit more of a classic Cable. I'd like to see old-fashioned Hawkeye with his hood. I would like to see old-fashioned Vision. Spider-Man has like a gabillion uniforms for him. I mean, I don't even know where to start with Spider-Man. Iron Man has so many options with all the different uniforms he's had, especially Infinity War uniform. That'd be really cool if we could get an Infinity War uniform. I'd like to see World War Hulk. I'd like to see Infinity War Thor in this game also. Tons of awesome uniforms. The only thing I could see preventing uniforms from making it into this game is what if they try to do things like DC Legends or Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, where they release different versions of the characters as separate characters. Now, as you guys know from watching my videos for a long time, I mentioned in an old video, I am not a fan of that style of release, so I hope that's not what they do. And if they were going to do it, I think they would have done it by now, because Infinity Wars, I mean, there were so many awesome versions of characters you could have brought in with the Infinity Wars update that they did not do. Again, I know the game first came out around then, but they definitely could have, or they could have released them later. So I do not, as of now, think they're going to be releasing alternate versions of characters as alternate characters. So, why don't you guys release some, you know, models as uniforms? I think that'd be pretty awesome. So, what do I know about what people like in Marvel Strike Force? I am just a 16-year-old. Let me know what your favorite uniform in the entire Marvel universe is down below. Signing off, guys.